Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And as you see, I'm back home. It's far too hot out there. I make these in advance, so as I'm making this, it's just 1 o'clock in the day. I took the dog out. It's about 11:30. I wouldn't take him out now. Even in that sort of hour and a half, temperature has gone through the roof. It would kill me to go out there, never mind him. Anyway, so I've come back home, sitting in the cool, and I've got a little bit of smug on because my last video, I said that I'd predicted correctly what would happen when all these criminals were being let out of prison. And I was shown to be correct. And I need to run out really and buy a lottery ticket because, second video on the trot, I'm going to say my predictions have come true. I've been talking recently a lot about housing, particularly social build housing and housing for rental stock and so forth, but also the general shape of the housing industry in Scotland and how it has basically collapsed due to government policy. Now, that's not, of course, how the SNP describe it. They're saying, oh no, it's all Westminster because, you know, it's always Westminster. But people who've got more than half a brain cell know it isn't Westminster, it's SNP policy. And I explained how just last week, one policy announcement pulled £4.5 billion of investment straight out of Scotland because people weren't willing to risk investing without the decent return, and the SNP policy would restrict that return. But I hear you saying, yes, David, that was fine. You told us that. What was your prediction? Well, my prediction was, and it has been for some time, that when this year's figures are announced, they will show that there has been a massive fall in house building. I predicted it all along. I said, builders aren't building. Builders are pulling back. Builders can't sell houses because nobody wants to buy houses with heat pumps, for example. And because of the lack of investment, particularly from the big investment companies, the pension schemes and things like that, nobody wants to invest in social housing and so forth. And I've been predicting this for some time. Well, God, am I good. Gives me a throb on knowing how good I am at predicting the future. But of course, it's easy when you've got a brain. You look to things that have happened before. You look to what they did before and got it wrong before, and you think, well, they're making the same mistakes again. It's bound to happen again because you know. This is the problem with the SNP. They lack the foresight, don't they? They don't understand that actions have consequences. But unfortunately, it is not Westminster's fault, and we're going to have a look at these figures now, right? Because it's actually the cuts to the SNP budgets. Now, we remember that 20 million was cut from the social housing budget by Humza Yousaf. And this is what are actually being blamed now on this massive, massive drop in social homes being built, social housing. Now, these are the important ones because these are the ones that are then built and then given to or sold at cost plus a small percentage to housing associations, which then can put tenants in because councils aren't allowed to build any more council homes. But they go through this thing, and it's all these little social housing companies are like not-for-profits. They do make a profit on paper, but that profit is used for things like maintenance and then to build up in order to build more and purchase more social housing. That's how it runs. So, how's it working out? Now, as I said, all these things that are working against the housing industry have come to fruition. Now, while, as I say, I hate to be right, I do hate to be right with this because it's people's lives. This is homeless people, particularly homeless children. But these budget cuts are now caused the lowest number of build for social housing in 11 years. But that's not the worst of it. This is just social housing. Now, obviously, when you're cutting the budgets and nobody's there, but also that's just the social housing budget that's been cut. But when other budgets are cut, when investors aren't going in piling money into Scotland, how can I put this? The house builder won't go and build on a big estate. So you got to ask how social building works, because what happens is a contractor or a construction firm will go in and say, right, we'll take over this site. We're going to build, let's say, 300 units, right? Boom. We're going to build 300 units. We'll build. 250 for commercial sale at best price they can get, because that gives them their big profit. They'll do 50 as what they call social housing. They'll go off to a social housing company, and they'll do 50 that'll go down to what they call reduced sale, low cost. So it's people buying privately, but it'll be limited to people who, say, live within a 5-mile radius of this particular site, who are looking for, and etc. And there's very strict rules on who they have to be first-time buyers, they have to live within a certain area, they have to have lived there for so long, and so on. So you get low-cost units, and then you get social housing. But what pays for it all is all the other houses that you do on this site. That's how it works. The trouble is, because nobody's buying and wants to buy all these other houses, the contractors aren't building them. And if they're not building the entire site, they've got no justification in building social housing. So how many social houses, not sites, individual social houses, do you think were started in the last 12 months? Across the whole of Scotland. Scotland that's got somewhere in the region of 400,000 homeless people. How many social houses were built? 10,000? No. 5,000? No. Surely not just 1,000. No. 580. 580 houses, social houses, were the construction started in 2023. 580. If that doesn't convince you that the SNP have screwed up so mightily royally, nothing will. And indeed, across the whole of the country, and including commercial sale houses, normal houses, fewer than 20,000 across the whole of Scotland were built last year. That is extraordinarily low. And the thing is, because these contractors are now not building houses, they can't sell them, they can't turn their money around, they can't do it. They're not investing anymore. They're coming south, they're investing in Britain. And what happens as well? The workers come south. The workers get their work in Britain. The workers are paying their tax to London, not to Edinburgh. So you're losing all this money. How can one government screw up one policy so badly that they lose millions upon millions in tax take? They drive highly educated and skilled tradesmen out of the country. They destroy the commercial house building industry, the social house building industry. They increase poverty, they increase homelessness. And they do so and pretend that they're being virtuous about it, because think of all the extra money we're going to spend on independence causes that will never happen. If you're an SNP voter and you know someone who hasn't got a house, think to yourself, you're the problem. You voted for them. You're the problem. The SNP are absolute dross. 580 social houses in the whole of Scotland in a year. Unbelievable. Thanks a lot. Bye.